I introduced myself.
All right, and John Stanley? And
He's
you're
from
part of
our office. He just wanted to come out and visit the district, so good opportunity to do that.
Yes. So we ended up getting some questions coming in. So, some from community and some from staff as well. So they're like, oh, we can ask questions? Yeah. So, thank you all. Let's see, water. Please. I'll find it. No worries.
It's under.
Do you have a master key on you? You have a secret code?
I do not.
Okay, I'll let her know. Okay. She thought it was 6:30. She's down the road, she's not.
Talking about Danielle?
Yes.
Oh, I just texted her.
That's some serious ones there.
Good
Yeah. Trying to set everything. See my wife on the bridge.
Anybody have any water talk in your vehicle?
No worries. No worries, Grant.
I'm sorry.
I probably hydrated myself today at work.
That's. Nellie, I guess, I believe she's in the parking lot, I guess she could figure it out, just want to get it started.
Well, then we get like 2 minutes to start. Yeah. It's been a while since I did this.
Let me know when.
Are we on audio now too? You want to start? Yeah, you can explain the intro stuff and then.
Hi, as I've told the candidates, my name is Kelly Duke, I'm law firm of Anderson, Duke, LaBelle. We are the honor of representing this district for a number of years and the Fire Protection District. With me tonight is John Stanek, a partner of mine. I want to assure the audience that we're doing this free of charge. We appreciate representing the district and we're not charging for this. I know that's the first question most people have when an attorney shows up. I assume you all are very serious about running for the board since this is a Thursday night football night and the Broncos are on TV. So you must really be serious about running. The way I think we'll start is we'll ask each of you to give a brief introduction, just a couple of minutes. And then I have a series of questions that various members of the community have written and I will ask those. And the way I've done it in the past, and I think we'll do it, is we'll start at one end and let each of you then, in sequence, answer the question, and then we'll start back the other way with the second question, and we'll continue in that fashion. So, Shirley, why don't you start out by introducing yourself and where you live, and just a very brief, because we'll cover this later, as to why you're running the board.
Okay. Well, my name is Sharon Garrett, and I live out there in Maywood, just a few miles from the elementary school. And I've been out here for about a little over 9 years now. And I am a mother of 3, and a big animal lover and kid lover. It's just in my nature. But I also have a profound interest in our education system and where the direction we're going. And I decided to run for the board, and I was really torn about for a while. It was my first time, and there's something pushed me saying that it's not about what you want to do, but it's about it being your duty to do it. And that was kind of my deciding factor, is that I feel that I have the qualifications, I have the skills. I think that would make me a good board member, and that I could really add to ideas and collective group and all that, because I have my numbers. So that's a little bit about it.
Paul? We've been in the Hanover district for about a year and a half. If you go directly west of TPIR, just kind of that district right next to Fort Carson. It's always nice and low, you know, there's a good sound of freedom. I was looking at the appointment to the board for about 3 months, so I've been running here. My short time has been great learning opportunity to lean on the other board members we have in place and get more familiar with policies. And I'm a big believer in accountability and communication, and our main goal should always be for the students, regardless of ego or, if you have to make tough decisions, but as long as it's in the benefit of the children, I feel that's our best bet. And that's why I'm interested in trying to stay on.
I can't wait, so we're just not.
2 minutes into
Yeah, let me.
Okay, I apologize.
No, that's okay. We're starting out by simply having a brief introduction, your name, where you live, your reason for running for the board. I've got a series of questions that members of the public have written down, and so I'll be asking those questions. I'll start at one end and have everybody give the opportunity to answer the same question, and we'll start at the other end and go back that way with the second question. Okay?
My name is Danielle Combs, and I live down by the truck driving school at exit 119. I grew up in this community. I currently am vice president of the school board. I enjoy my position on the school board. I graduated kindergarten through 12th grade all the way in this district. My daughter is now in 6th grade. And no matter how many times I've tried to escape, Hanover just feels like home. We just purchased another house out here, my husband and I, and I just enjoy having an impact. I feel like if you don't try to have an impact, then you can't really have a voice unless you're willing to do something about it. And the time, I've had 2 years on the board so far, and I've enjoyed it. There have been challenges, but I think we have a great team right now, and I'm looking forward to hopefully many more years on the board. That's it.
Randy?
Hi, I'm Randy Underwood. Wow, that's loud. Randy Underwood. I am currently president of the board, lived in the district since November of 2012. Relocated here for work. We have a cornucopia, a plethora of animals, and we were looking for a place to rent before we wanted to decide where we wanted to live and buy a house. And so we found a place out here for rent. This is where we landed. We loved it. Ended up buying the place, and we're here permanently. So I hope you don't have a clock on me because I'm really long-winded. Ask anybody that knows me. So I have basically always served. Before I was even 18, I was a Boy Scout. I was active duty Army, Boy Scout leader, Special Olympics coach, currently a volunteer firefighter in the district, and as I said earlier, on the Board of Education. So I believe, kind of sort of what Danielle said, that, what makes a community is that you serve your community. You shouldn't expect anything from it. Maybe other than camaraderie and a good barbecue every couple of years. It's just ingrained in me. I'm a server. I've always served. I'm also an engineer, electrical engineer, and I'm a problem solver. And that I don't think there's ever been a problem I haven't tried to solve. I didn't say solve them all successfully, but I sure tried to solve every problem I think I've come across. So why am I running for the board? So I got appointed to the board before the election 4 years ago. So I've been on the board for almost 5 years now. And, I've been pretty adamant about, trying to solve the problems that I identify. And I think we solved a lot of problems. And also, as Danielle said, we have a really good board chemistry now, and everyone's kind of, I wouldn't say we're all on the same page, but we're definitely heading in the same direction. We all have the same kind of philosophies about the kinds of improvements that need to be made. And so I just want to continue on with doing the work that I've done and bring that, further towards its natural conclusion. I don't know if it ever really concludes, right? I mean, it's an iterative process. But, yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say for now, because I'm sure I'm over 2 minutes.
You sure you're not a lawyer on the side?
I have an
2 minutes
analytical
for what a lawyer said we're going to talk for 2 minutes, you might as well pack a lunch. Okay, Robin.
My name is Robin Diaz. I live out on PPIR, actually just a I
You
work,
know, I can see both their houses from my house.
yes, you can.
That's
So I
close
tell
we
them
all
every
live.
day.
That's how close we all live.
I work in District 11, full-time, and before that I was in the medical field. I have 6 children now, 4 that are in the district, and 1 that's not old enough to be in the district yet. I decided to run for board for a lot of the common reasons. I want procedures and policies to continue to go in the direction that they're moving. I liked the changes that we saw, even when we came back. I moved here a year and a half ago, just a couple weeks before Paul did actually. And I wasn't very intrigued by the school when we first got here. And a lot of things have changed, a lot of policies and procedures and things in the high school have really just taken off amazingly since then. And my interest in being on board is to continue that our district moves in that direction. I do have 6 kids that are going to be going through this school, and their education is very important to me.
Okay, well, let's start with the questions, and I'm going to stay with you, Robin. We're going to go this way and then back. The first question for all of you to consider, the answer is, what can the district do to attract and keep good quality teachers within its budget?
Within the budget, I think if we're supporting our teachers the best that we can, we want to make sure our kids are going on the right direction. We want to support them in the classroom. And I'm not just saying academically, there's behavior issues. We want teachers to feel comfortable and safe in their environment as well. I think to hold on and retain teachers, we're going to have to try and continue getting students to come to our school. If we can't get the student body in the school, then we can't grow our budget to where we can afford hiring teachers that will stay a lot longer. So if we can make our curriculum better, which we're doing, our schools are definitely moving in the right direction, then I think our student body will start to come back and we can afford better teachers.
Randy?
So, my goodness, this is a topic that we've discussed multiple times. So, first of all, I want to say that I absolutely value teachers, and not just the teachers, all of our staff. 100%, I don't want to say they do a thankless job, because they get thanked a lot, but they probably don't get thanked enough. And taking out the budget part of it for a second, if I could, if I were king for a day, I'd double their pay in a heartbeat. Now, unfortunately, that's not a budget reality. So, I'll diverge for a second. There's a good friend of mine that says a lot, frequently, in fact, that you don't quit a job because they're not paying you enough. You quit a job because you don't like your environment, or your boss, or your coworkers, or whatever. And so, I think the most important thing that we can do to retain our current teachers is really just to make it a friendly environment, I guess is the right word. And I don't want you to think that I mean that to the extent that it's a free-for-all, but at the same time, no unnecessary burdens. It shouldn't take you 5 hours to go through a paperwork process that should only take an hour, kinds of things like that. And the teachers have to believe that the administration, if there's ever a conflict between a parent and a teacher, the teachers have to know fundamentally going in that the administration has their back, pending the outcome of the information collection. And so really it's more about environment. Our budget is our budget. We're not going to be able to pay teachers as much as they're worth, but it's all about the environment and making their job pleasant. A lot of that goes back to what Robin says, the administration has to handle those discipline problems appropriately so that the teachers can focus on teaching, because I believe teachers teach because they love to teach, right? And if you take away from their teaching, then it's not a good environment for them. And so that's the first thing. And then the second part of it is, and I hate to keep bringing it back to budget, but I think fundamentally the state has to restructure the way that it finances schools, or maybe I'll go so far as to say the way that it finances small rural schools. There's a lot of initiatives out there now to help small rural schools. And I think that needs to expand a little bit because of how far out we are. We really do need to pay our teachers more to draw them out here, because not very many teachers who teach here live here. And so we have to have that incentive and be able to offer those incentives from a budget perspective. And so I think there's a fundamental change in the way that small rural schools get funded in the state to help us recruit and retain. Now, I know what's going on, but as far as a recruiting angle on it, the superintendent and the board have talked several times about how we pigeonholed a certain amount of money, maybe to offer signing bonuses or relocation bonuses to teachers who decide to hire on in the district. And if Prop CC passes, we'll definitely be in a position to fund those types of incentives. I'm sorry, going on for a long time.
Danielle.
You all did pretty good. It's hard to go after all that. I think teachers want to come to an environment that is welcoming, that they feel supported. I feel like teachers sometimes are the angels in disguise. They spend more time with our students than we spend with our students. So I think it starts with having an administration that supports them. And I think that the budget, once our teachers feel supported, I feel like there'll be a more welcoming environment. When people come into our school, they will want to stay with our school. They'll see that it's support from the top down. And then that brings in the retention that Robin was talking about. And then once the retention is there, then we'll get more money financially from the state. And I think that it all goes hand in hand. I know that a lot of people that live within our district go to outside districts, and that definitely hurts our bottom line. Being on the board, we have had many talks about how we can retain good teachers. I know when I was a student here, some of our teachers stayed for 20 years. I mean, one of them was retiring and he taught me. One retired last year that had me in second grade. So once they get here and they see the type of close-knit community that we are, I think that definitely is a great factor. Because you're not going to get that one-on-one. You're not going to get the type of relationships that you build with your students in a bigger school. They're just a number. So I definitely think that being a rural school district has its advantages, such as disadvantages. However, I really think that it starts with the administration and the parents. I think the parents have something to do with it as well. I think that the parents should come be involved in the school. I don't think the teachers should just feel like it's all on them, and then the parents come and they like to point the finger. I think that if it's a collaborative effort from administration to teachers to parents, Hanover can strive, and I've seen it, and I'm looking forward to having it happen again, and I think we're on the right track. I know that we put in our budget this last year for raises for our teachers, but I really think it starts with appreciating people, and I think appreciation and being grateful for what they do and the time that they put in, I think that goes a long way, and I think as long as we do that, they'll feel supported, and it'll show within the classroom. Thank you.
Paul.
Not to copy what everyone else has said, but no, it's like any organization, the morale of the staff is a direct reflection of leadership. And if they feel that the leadership has their support, has their best interests at heart, it will just continue to spread. I mean, just even seeing from last year to this year, we see already better attitudes. Just everyone seems happier at the schools. Something that I like that Grant started this year was holding the heart of the children in their hands. And you can see that it almost is kind of spread out throughout the staff as well, as they're having this caring feeling towards one another. And as a board, we need to try to do our best to continue to build upon that, be it encouragement, addressing issues that come towards us, taking every little thing that is presented to us with the utmost importance. Otherwise, we're just letting them down. And as Randy said, no one ever really leaves a job primarily for money. It's always about the environment. So it's really short to the point.
Carrie?
Well, I pretty much agree with what everyone's saying. And Danielle, I think made a really good point about the community ties that you get in a small district that you don't. And that's something that I think selling the teachers on is going to bring them in. That we, on top of having a positive atmosphere and all that, because in any business, your employees are number one if you want to keep them, and you're going to treat them like that they're very important people. So I think without raising the budget, to just get them to stick around and not have such a high turnover is just really offering incentives that don't even cost much or anything at all, but also that once that, it's just once I think people start to pick up on those ties that you get in a small district, that you can't have these kind of feelings of relationships in a big city, but they want to work in a small district.
But this next question is from me, and maybe it's in here too, but I've moderated a couple of these before, and I know this is an issue that's come up before, and it has a lot to do with budget to retain teachers, and that is, starting with you, Sherry, is, as somebody's already noted, there's concern under the choice statute that you have students that live in this district that don't attend the school here. What do you think needs to be done, whether it's to the curriculum, athletic programs, whatever? What do you think needs to be done to not only retain more of your own students, but perhaps attract choice students from adjoining districts that would attend this school district?
One of the things that, and you'll have to forgive me because I did step away for a while, but I did just 2 years ago when we had a meeting and all the parents came together, it seemed like their biggest concern was bullying. Kids that, and it boils down to what Paul was saying earlier about accountability, because I didn't see that. When my girls were in high school, I did not see that, and that was the biggest reason why I'm homeschooling my ninth graders, because she cannot handle the bullies at school. And I didn't, and I heard so many more stories, you know, of other parents where their kids had gone through, and my oldest one, Ken, herself, is that it's all, and it all stems from not handling bullies properly. So I think that just, we need to work on that. And we have good policies, I just didn't see them being followed. We need to make sure they're enforced as far as that's concerned. I know that there's now you guys, kids can anonymously turn in so that they don't get singled out for telling and that sort of thing, which is a good thing. But at the same time, they need to be able to talk to somebody about it. And then there was a combination, but I think there's a lot of it, and what I saw that one parent wanted to go away was because their concerns were just flat out not being handled.
Paul?
Well, I think already just in the short time, again, I only have to go off of the experience that I've had in the district. We already have, as people drive by both of the schools, we have the lit up signs, which when we go on to away games, you go, hey, you can see from the highway, you can see from the road, it's pretty neat. I know it might seem like a small thing, but it's very attractive. Wow, it's, putting money in the school. I know the newsletter that they have online, it's a home run. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, I encourage everyone to go on the Hanover website. That it's spectacular. We see the improvements around both of the grounds, and so as a community, if we can continue to invite people to see, hey, come to this program. I know even when we have the volleyball games, we're starting to have really good turnouts. You have some people that live in the area, and you can see them kind of looking around. So as we continue to build in the right direction and address concerns that we have that arise, I think that's going to attract, hopefully, the students that are here and maybe lure some to come on down. And as the word gets out with the staff of creating an environment, hey, this is a really good place to work, they take care of their employees. My hope is that we can continue in this direction to attract students and give them the best experience that Hanover has to offer.
Danielle?
I would say that it starts lot of our business is word of mouth. And I think that you're gonna know your neighbors, whether those kids go to school or not. Your kids are gonna play together and they're gonna say, hey, where do you go? And then just the interest there of, hey, our school is great, we have great sports, or we have great curriculum, and then the parents can have those conversations. I think that that is definitely where it's gonna start, is getting the environment where it needs to go, and then the curriculum in line where, because we have Fountain right there, and they are leaps and bounds financially more stable than we are. They are, and it's a 10 to 15 minute drive, so of course that seems very appealing to people, but at the same time, we offer one-on-one support that they're not gonna get. They're just gonna be a number. Your student's not gonna feel special, you're not gonna have that relationship, they're not gonna get walked in the halls and have the same type of family feeling that you're gonna get at Hanover. And I think that as long as we start building that, keep building that environment, and we keep the word of mouth strong in our community, I think that it'll pique interest. And I think once they get into our doors and they have these conversations and they see our environment and they feel how welcoming it is, I definitely think that that will be getting more interest. And we're definitely on the right track with getting our curriculum updated to where it needs to be, because I think that that was a big deterrent for a lot of families.
Really?
So most of this is going to be repetition, I'm sure. But I think the key, well, first of all, let me say that, you know, there's just a matter of convenience. There are people who live in this community that work adjacent to or at these schools that they attend outside of our district. And so I don't think we're ever going to get 100%. And I hope we don't set that a goal for ourselves. But I think there's two major things that we can do to try to draw those students back. And it's not so much the students, obviously, I think it's more about the parents. And so the first thing, and it's kind of sort of what Danielle alluded to, is the sense of community that you're going to get from our district that you won't get from a large school. And that is outweighed, I think, by the other point that she made, which is we've got to offer a good dispersion of curriculum so that we can take care of, you know, what the principal at the high school talks about, grade 13, preparing kids for what they're going to do after they graduate. You know, there's a very large chunk of our student population has no intention, no desire to go to college. And so we have to provide curriculum that's going to give them them skills that they'll need to go out and be a successful rancher or electrician or carpenter or whatever. But it's not just the curriculum we offer, we have to effectively deliver that curriculum, educate them, make them experts in what we teach them. And, you know, that's hard today because we have all these standardized testing things that I'm not a big fan of. So I think that's the key. You have a sense of community, you're going to get a sense of community feeling, inclusiveness and belonging out of our district that you are never going to get from a large district. And in order for us to compete for students, if you will, with the other districts, we have to offer just as a well-rounded curriculum and effectively deliver education as those other districts.
Rob?
Yeah, I agree with everyone. I'm going to piggyback off you guys a little bit. We already have this sense of community in our schools. And the only thing that I can absolutely say is let me refer back to my own story. So we moved out here a year and a half ago, like I stated earlier, and I immediately pulled my son out of Hanover within days, and I sent him to Fort Carson. Coming off the bullying thing, there's a lot more bullying at Fort Carson. The curriculum is very rigorous, and they have all of the electives you could possibly dream of. But further into the year, we're talking March, February, things are changing. Hanover Junior High School, and I speak Hanover Junior High School because I feel the elementary school, we have bigger numbers, like parents are more willing to send their kids in elementary school, but when they get up to middle school, high school, now we're talking, you know, college, real game time here. Let's buckle down and try to figure out our curriculum and our grades for our kids so that we can offer them a chance at college. So come February, March, I brought my son back to Hanover. He is a sophomore and he was a freshman for half the year last year because the curriculum's got better. So if you ask me what we can do better, we're already doing it. It's just baby steps. We have to continue to offer these classes, like Randy stated. You know, we have a STEM class, we have AP classes now, we have a variety of options to do. The kids went on, the sophomore, junior students all went on a college fair a couple times already this year. You know, we're encouraging them to do something with their lives. You know, they may not have any intention to go to college, and that's fine. That's their family's choice. That's their choice as a person. But we're encouraging it more. We're offering those AP classes and we're offering those STEM classes. So if you ask me what we can do better, we're already doing it. We just have to continue to work on it and continue to get better and offer more classes and make sure our kids can just be the best that they can possibly be.
You may notice that my eyes are watering and they're kind of red. I'm not crying at your answers. I'm having contact. I'm having contact lens.
It's okay.
Issue. Okay, here, I've got a whole bunch of questions here. And I think in the past, maybe there even was a timer, maybe that.
Maybe.
And so what I would recommend that you all, the last person to answer is always in a tough situation because, a lot of what we want to say is already probably been said. But I would encourage you, since I'd like to get to as many of these as possible, to keep your answers, within a couple minutes if possible.
I'll be fair.
Okay. All right. Here's the next question, and we're starting this time with Rob. Besides attending school board meetings, what can you do as a director to hear parent concerns?
That's a really tough one. People can address you anywhere, Things should be addressed at the board meetings, but, if a parent comes up to me and says that they have concerns, first off, you need to direct them to their principal or to their superintendent, because that's not things that we can really handle. We get to vote on policies and procedures as a board member. We can't handle, Susie Q is getting picked on by Michael, or my kid didn't have a great time at volleyball today. Those aren't things that we can handle. So when I say if I want to handle something or help somebody, unfortunately all we can say is go talk to your principal or to your superintendent. There's not much that I can do. Now, if you want to address something with procedures and policies, talk to me about it. Let's see what we can come up with and talk to with fellow board members and see what we can come up that might brainstorm and turn it to be in a better situation.
So, there's plenty of opportunities in this district, even though we're small and don't have a lot, to engage the community and parents. You shouldn't need to talk, that's so unfair. Talk about pressure.
You wasted time.
So, one of the biggest things that I think you can do to engage the community is, go to the school events. If you go to the holiday presentation at Prairie Heights and show up a little bit early and just talk to people. I mean, don't say, hi, I'm a board member, what do you have to say to me? Just be there, be available. And kind of sort of going back to a little bit of what Robin said is you have to, when someone does bring a concern to you, you have to handle it properly. So then the word gets spread that you're going to do what you can to help them, to take their concerns seriously, regardless of, like you said, whether or not you can actually do anything about it. But so you just got to be out there. You got to be available, and the community has to know that you're going to take their concerns seriously.
Yeah.
I think that with being a small community is definitely a double-edged sword sometimes. However, I think that most people just want to be heard. They just want to know that they need a vent, and they might be having a bad day that day, and whether I can do something about it or not, I want them to be able to come to me so I can be a sounding board, a safe place. I will smile, I will nod, I will listen to them, and I will genuinely listen to them, and I will direct them in the right direction. Yeah, we can only go on policies and procedures, but we need that human factor. And I think being in a small community, that is very important. I think that going to all the events that you can go to volleyball games, smile, say hi, talk to people, make small talk. They just want to know that they're valued. Whether they are someone who's big in the community or someone that is very small in the community or that they're new. They just want to know that someone's going to listen. And I think that as long as we bring that human factor and we listen to them and we let them vent sometimes is the most important thing that we do.
Paul?
Yeah, I'd have to say, yeah, definitely in a small community, everyone really knows, they already know who's on board. They know who you are, what you're doing, probably what you had for dinner last night. But we can use that to our advantage. You know, it's about the way you carry yourself. You know, be approachable, be friendly. You know, like Randy said, I was a Boy Scout myself. And Randy's really part of where you need to be kind. Listen to what people have to offer, go to the events, learn people's names, administrators. You know, I spend a lot of time in the schools. I travel for work, but every opportunity I can, I'm going to every little possible thing I can to be, you know, part of it. Encourage parents to be engaged. Ask them, hey, help with DAC, help with anything they can get their hands on. To know that as a board, we want them in our community to be part of this entire process together, not just, hey, we're the board, that's it, it's great. Let them know, hey, anything you got, please come to us. And I know it's been said before, but I feel we do have a chemistry right now on the board that we, you know, are very approachable, and it's in the short time I've been on, it's been fun to be a part of it.
Jerry?
Well, I really share Danielle's perspective on just people needing to vent. And when you're a board member that is not just good, because I've been there, I've had board members go, well, did you talk to the principal right off the bat? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm just going to tell them what's going on and what I'm seeing, and they don't want to hear it. And I think that's wrong. I think that we should be able to open up and listen. And yeah, we all have our time frames and all that, but I mean, I think that's something that's a priority, especially if we want to improve morale and bring people back into the district, is that we have to have that communication and let them talk to us and let them vent to us. And then we can tell them, look, if this is what you need to do, go to the superintendent and all that. But just talk to them about their problems, let them know that you understand where they're coming from. So that's probably the most important thing. I just driving around getting a petition signed, it really put me up in kind of a high, because it just made me feel really good that people that will just sit there and really talk to you about everything. And you make a lot of connections and ties for, I mean, living out here, we certainly need them. So it's just something that we can do. It's just you come across somebody in the community and you just sit there and start talking to them. And I do that anyway, but yeah.
I'm going to shake things up a little bit. And I'm going to start out with Danielle.
All right.
And this really fits pretty well into the last question. Have you attended any school activities in the last year? Which ones? And obviously we're not talking about board meetings, but
Yes. I have gone to every volleyball game this year, away and home. I go to the award ceremonies. I go to the fall festivals. Parent-teacher conferences today, for example. I don't, you know, some of the teachers are like, why are you even here? Your student's great. And I'm like, because I'm here. Like, it's a school event. I'm here. Tell me how great my student is. So I try to really attend a lot of almost everything that I can that is at night mostly or away, because I really think that not only supporting my daughter, but supporting the schools of Vernon and being there and showing your face and being available for the community is very important. So I've gone to a lot. I can't remember them all. Last year, the spring concert, the drama plays, all the award ceremonies. Yeah, even the parade, the homecoming parade, the football games. I'm going this Saturday for the chili fair. I'm wearing a chili for the chili cook-off that we're hosting for a school. I just think that the activities is definitely very important.
Charity.
In the past year, I've done the concerts at the elementary school and stuff like that. I haven't been as involved as much in the past year because I had some healing to do. But before that, most of the events, when my girls were in the high school, I attended more events at high school, but since then, I've been around just mainly the elementary school.
Robin.
Last year, I was at just about every game possible for every sport away and home. Also all of Great Heights events. This year, I have been to several volleyball and football games. I will also be at the cheerleader club. I made 3 pots of cheerleading because I have 3 different kids in 3 different sports. And they can't just support one. So I try to go to as many school events as possible, not just for the district, because it is important to support them. Also financially, because they collect a small fee at the door and it goes to helping those academic, or not academic, sports programs, you know, getting them new materials and equipment that they need, but also to support our kids. You know, having several kids in the district, I think it's important. Just like Danielle said, we need to support our kids and we need to support the kids on our teams and just make it a great time.
Randy?
Sir, so, actually, I'm afraid to answer this question. So I will say that when my children were in school, I was like these two, and probably Paul, I was at Airfield. I mean, all the time I couldn't name them all because I was at Airfield. Since my kids have not been in the field, obviously I haven't been to as many things, just out of gravity, lack of gravity. But you know, I go to the holiday musical presentations and the concerts, and because I love the arts and crafts. So I've been to in the past year, and I went to the holiday one at Prairie Heights, and I think the spring concert at the junior senior high school. So that's not as much as I want to. Kind of sort of like Paul, work. I travel out for work. Not nearly as much as Paul, but so that's it. Paul?
Well, second year in a row, scorekeeper homecoming football game. I was chaperone at the homecoming. All volleyball games, basketball games. Went on field trips in the springtime with the grade schoolers. Went to UCCS with the middle schoolers last year. I had the opportunity, so when I travel, it's 2 weeks gone and then 2 weeks at home. So when I'm at home, everything that comes up, I try to do as much as I can to be involved, because again, I don't feel that we can really grab that much of a sense of the community if we're not with the community.
Next question, I'm going to start with Randy, and I think your answer will be incredibly brief. Do you have any school-aged children in our district who are not enrolled? And if not, why not?
Yes, I do. I have one. My daughter, she's 17, she's a senior. And the reason she's not enrolled in school is because she has a rather severe intellectual disability, and school just wasn't socially the most appropriate place for her, and so we decided to homeschool.
Paul?
Yes, I have 4 children, and 2 were at the, one's at the high school, one's at junior high school, and 2 at the grade school.
Okay. Robin?
I do, and I do have one child that attends a different school in a different district. He was at Prairie Heights last year, and like I stated earlier, I work for District 11, and it's just convenient for him to go to school with me, so unfortunately, I pulled him out of Prairie Heights and took him with me. Other than that, I have a preschooler that is over there, that the nanny drives to and from every day, and then I have 2 junior high and high school students at Hanover.
Jerry?
So I just have one in the district that's in the 4th grade, and then I have a 9th grader that I homeschool. And the reason why I'm homeschooling, I brought it up earlier, the biggest issue that I had with her was, she was making good grades, but I wasn't satisfied with her grades because I thought she should know more compared to the grades that she was making. And her biggest issue was bullying, but on top of it, she'd come home every day and I was teaching her everything that the teacher could have taught in the classroom, because she did not retain any of it, or it just wasn't taught to her the way it should have been. So that was one of my biggest reasons for taking her out.
I have one child, she's in 6th grade, and she's attended Hanover. First she attended Prairie Heights preschool through 5th grade, and then she just started middle school at the junior senior high.
All right, next question. Paul, should school board members be allowed in classrooms whenever they want? Why or why not?
I would say no. I feel that it's a teacher's time, it's a teacher's domain. I feel when we go on to the school, we are guests, and we need to respect that space and that time. If we want to come into a classroom, we have emails just like everyone else. We can go ahead and set up a time and plan. And I don't feel it really would be appropriate or our place just to say, hey, I'm a board member, I'll come in, that's really not our duty. So, that's short answer.
Robin?
I would say we can't go in whenever we want. I do think that we could request to maybe come in and tour the school or evaluate a classroom and just see how things are going. On the flip side of that, most board members, I would say, have students in our district. So on that note, as a parent, if you needed to go into the class with your students for academic reasons or just misbehaving, because I'm the first one that if my child is being horrible at school, I will go to every class with you for the entire day and you will behave. But with that understanding, I feel that when you are going into the school, you need to forget that you're a board member. You don't exist on the board anymore. So if you're going in as a parent, yes, go into the classroom, be with your students, but you no longer are part of the board for that 6 to whatever hours you're in school for.
Great.
So this is a really tough one, actually. I'm kind of sort of falling in the middle on this. I believe that board members should be allowed to see what's going on in the schools. But they go along with what Paul said, you just absolutely should not be a disruption. The few times that I have gone into the classroom, you know, I would stand in the doorway and wait for the teacher to see me, and then based upon the teacher's reaction, I would either enter or stay out there. And most classrooms are set up so you could stand in the doorway and observe without affecting instruction. So yeah, that's a really tough one. I don't think you should just be able to walk in and saunter in right in the middle of instruction and disrupt and you know that kind of stuff. But I think board members should be able to observe the instruction, and you know, unless you plan out an appointment with the staff. And by the way, if you do that, you should always copy the principal and the superintendent on your correspondence. You're short of having an appointment, you know, you just can't be a disruptor.
I believe it really depends on, I think the elementary, I think that it's more acceptable to go and just peek in and say hi and, but I still think you need to communicate with the teacher. If they really want you to be there, like with the elementary, I'm interested in coming and reading a story or being a part of it. I think not just to observe, but maybe be hands-on. Maybe see if the teacher has a special project and you are wanting to help, or they might need an extra hand. I think that definitely is okay, and then you can sort of help out at the same time as observing. But as far as just dropping in, especially at the junior senior high school, I do find that to be inappropriate, and I think that is definitely something that can be set up through email or phone call, or when you see them passing in the hall and say, hey, I'd be interested in seeing this. I know if I went into one of my daughter's middle school classes, she would probably melt, like, with the nervousness. So I definitely think that having something set up with the teacher ahead of time, but of course, sometimes, like with my schedule, I'll have a free day and I'm like, hey, I'll just stop in and say hi. But I think it's more appropriate to do something like that at the elementary level than it is at the junior senior high school level.
Charity?
Well, I really agree with Randy on this, is that it's important for the board to be able to observe, be able to go into school and observe, without interrupting, just to look in on the classroom as you pass, with nobody else thinking over there, but it gives us an idea of what we can do to improve policies and what have you. So it's important that we're able to see firsthand what's going on in the schools.
Well, this next, and just for the members of the public here, when you see me look at a question and turn it over and put it in, it's only because it's almost identical to something you've already been asked. I'm not censoring the questions. But this kind of follows up on the last question, and that is, what do you feel is the role of a school board member? And we'll start with Charity.
Well, as far as the role of an individual school board member, there's really not such a thing. I think the only time that you act that you're a board member is collectively, it's as a whole group. So that's your role, and you're here to set policies, improve policies, do bad ones, approving the budget every year, also employing a superintendent, and also reviewing staff contracts.
Any,
Here, good question.
what do you feel is the role of a school board member?
What I feel the role of the school board member, I believe that we are one of five. And I feel like you're leading, you're leading a community, you're leading a school. I feel like you are setting a good example. The eyes are always on you. When you go into the buildings, you need to act appropriately. You need to act appropriately online. You need to act appropriately. You're showing what you're the face of the district, essentially. And we are only in charge of hiring a superintendent. And so, I mean, he's really the only one under us, and we need to make sure that he's being accountable for the rest of the staff. But I think that it's just the leadership, it's integrity. I think it's how you carry yourself day in and day out, online, in the streets, at the school, even at the grocery store. People notice. And I think that it is our job to carry ourselves with a very high regard, always be respectful, have integrity, and come together collectively with your other board members to handle and address policies, procedures, and budget, and then also to help direct the superintendent in any direction he needs.
Paul?
Like on the questionnaire that we had to fill out, we work hand in hand together, but also with the superintendent to review policies, improve policies, and move in the direction of the best interest for the students. I know I keep coming back to that, but if it's not for the students, then why are we here? As Danielle said, it's a 24-hour. You need to be that person that people can look to as, hey, they're taking it seriously, they're an example for the students. At all times, events, even though we go to events as parents to see our kids play, we also have to remember that we're also there representing the school as a board member. So we can't get carried away and carry ourselves in a way that would be reprehensible. We set the standard as a board. We are what the community looks to. Okay, what direction are we going to as a district? We have our monthly meetings, it's online, you can see, get to know. And I think it's primarily just doing what's right for the students.
I agree with them pretty much. Policies and procedures, support the superintendent, be a positive role model in the community. Yeah, pretty much it. Like, pretty cut and dry.
Ready?
Last. So I think one of the one big thing, and everybody's mentioned policies and procedures, but I think in order for you to, as a board member, figure out exactly how you want those policies and procedures to read, so that you can propose these changes to the board for the whole board to vote on, you have to do a lot of work. It's a lot of education. You got to get involved in the community, feedback from the community, go get feedback from the students and the staff. And from that perspective, there's a lot of work. And really, so that's the key. That, yeah, you set policy. Sure, that's written in the CRS. That's what board members do. But how do you do that? And that's the work. That's the engaging the staff and the administration and the students and the community as a whole to figure out what policies and procedures need to be changed, how. And then you gotta do some research on top of that. You have to go and figure out, well, if we put these words in there, is there enough wiggle room for the superintendent to get what he needs to do, or is there too much wiggle room? And so then there's a lot of research and figuring out how to properly draft the wordage of those policies as well.
You make them too good, there won't be any work for attorneys, you know.
Well, so there's common phrase in my business, right? If I do a really good job, I put myself out of business.
That's
as a board member, if I do a really good job with my lawyer.
That's right. All right, this next question kind of dovetails in the last, and is, how will you check your behavior so as not to be rude to staff or act like you have all authority? Randy?
I would be surprised if any board, or if any staff member has construed my behavior as rude or all powerful, or whatever the wordage was in the question. As I said earlier, I have utmost respect for our staff. All of our staff, and teachers and bus drivers and custodians and cooks and support staff. I don't know, I can't imagine that. And if someone ever has construed my behavior as rude and like I'm above them, it's absolutely not what I believe or how I intend to be perceived. But it kind of sort of goes back to what Danielle was saying in her answer to the last question is, you're the face of the district and you have to always, conduct yourself in a manner that is appropriate for that position. Paul?
Well, I think it's just a way of life. I think if, you're holding yourself to that standard every day, your integrity is the only thing you really have. You want it, I don't want to take from you. And so if you live your life and your performance in a way that falls in line with that, really you don't have to worry about it. If you know you're not going to treat someone this way, you know you're not going to talk down to someone outside of the board meeting, outside of school, at work or something, how you carry yourself on a daily basis, people will see it anyway, no matter if you're trying to hide it. They will see right through that. So I think it's just, like Randy said, keep it in your mind, like also Danielle said, we are the representation that we have for the school, and that also
All right, I'm going to rephrase this one a little bit, but the question is are the district finances in bad shape? You can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Absolutely not. In the 5 years that I've been on the board, we've put double-digit tens of thousands of dollars into the reserve fund. I think the last tally was about $700,000 in the reserve. Or the last budget cycle was about $700,000 in reserve. And now I know our accountant wants us to have more. But that's a couple months, 3 months of operating expenses, which is what the state recommends. So we're right about what the state recommends. And we are less than what our accountant wants us to be. But there are things that we've had to defer. We always need new buses and vans. And there's always maintenance work that's overdue. We desperately need a bus barn. But just because we are saving up and biding our time to do these things well and the right way and in the right time frame, doesn't mean that our finances are in bad shape. Now this year, according to the current budget, we're only going to put about $9,000 into the reserve based on the approved budget. There have been some things that changed so far, additional student enrollment being the most effective or significant, but also if Prop CC passes in this upcoming election, that'll change things as well. So I would say that, when I first came on the board about 5 years ago, I don't know that I would say our finances were in bad shape, but they definitely needed some looking after. And we, as the board in the past 5 years, have looked after them. And I think one of the biggest and most important things that we've done is to make sure that, one, the community has full insight into our budget. So we put out a budget. Did I expire? Start on me. First one to go the full 2 since it was time. First one.
This really is an unfair question for those of you who are not, because you really don't have the ability to know.
It's very
Actually, if you go to the website, there's a financial page, all the financial transparency stuff. But
I'll ask Charity next.
I actually haven't looked at the financial transparency in about a year and a half, 2 years. But I used to be on top of looking what's going on, and back then I had ideas of, anybody that knows me, and they're going to tell you one of my strong attributes is going to be being resourceful. And I had ideas on just different things that you're spending money on and how you could save a lot of money. So I don't know right now. I just, like I said, I slipped away for a while and I haven't been paying attention. But it doesn't take much for me to just get back on and look at it. I just haven't done that yet. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
I actually went to the last budget meeting that they had, and I spent a couple days reviewing it, trying to make sure that I could understand it. And I asked a lot of questions, if Grant can remember, and I learned a lot. And from budget last year to budget this year, I would agree with Randy. We're not in bad shape. We're actually moving forward. We're putting money away. Our finances are looking good. We're getting higher paid teachers, maybe not by much, but they are definitely getting higher paid, a little here and there. So I would say our budget's actually going in a great direction.
Paul.
Yeah, no, I was actually at the meeting, because I remember at one of the board meetings before being on the board that they had made mention that there was a lack of participation from the community at financial meetings, as 0 attendance. And so we went, and it was very informative, and to see just even from then, and now, like I said, being privy to what we talked about on the board, it's fascinating to see where we are financially, and Randy broke it down almost to the last cent of how well we are doing. But also, at the same time, we could also get more money. So comes time to vote on things as a community, we need to realize, hey, is the school asking this because they want to be writing memos, or do they actually need it? So as a community, we need to support our schools with our votes in the direction of getting the school that they need, but the things that they need after school. But right now, the budget is continually going upward, and he has a great PowerPoint online that you can go through and it breaks it down very in detail.
Daniel?
I would have to agree. Being on the board, going through the budget process 2 years now, we are, I believe, in good shape. We have invested a lot of the things that the community has wanted, like the new signs, traffic signs, and the new message boards, I guess they would be called. But so we definitely do that, and then we're also able to give our teachers a step, because I know that that was very important to us. So we have tried to put some things ahead and prioritize them within the budget. That has made us not put so much into reserve. However, one of our enrollment numbers were up. But I think we do a very good job of being transparent. We invite the community, we try to get feedback. We try to incorporate what they want with the development plan that we have in place. And we definitely just try to be as open and honest and transparent with our budget. And I think our budget is in good shape. Of course, everything when it comes to budget can be better. But that is our goal. And we have tried to make it a priority for our teachers to make sure they get raises so they can show that they are appreciated. And then also do things to invest within our community, like the signs and the maintenance work and the buses, because there are some expenses that we can't avoid. And so I really hope that the community sees that we're trying to really invest within our community and within our school, and we're not just frivolously spending money that we shouldn't.
Okay, how do you know if our schools are good or bad? Paul?
Well, I think you actually have to be engaged to give it a fair assessment. And again, also have a good grasp on rural communities. I would have to say, spend some time with the school to see if it's good or bad. I can say we have 2 really good schools, great schools. I'm proud to be Hanover, and I'm excited to see the direction that our school continues to make. I think when you see a school district that's stagnant, to me that would be something of concern, and we consider that. But if you see that the attention to detail has been put in place, and you see the passion from the staff to move in the right direction, to get the curriculum better, to hold students accountable for the rigor that Mr. McNerney's been pushing. It's been great to see. So I would definitely say we have some pretty dang good schools.
And you?
I agree. I believe that when my daughter first started preschool, kindergarten, I was questioning it. I even went to the superintendent's office a couple times and I was like, but I gave it a chance. I gave him a chance. He has brought great things to this district since he's been here. I believe that we have a great growth mindset. I think in today's world that is very important. To have that growth mindset, teach our children the growth mindset. I think that within the elementary, he has implemented some great things. We have a new assistant principal over there. She brings a lot to the table. She's definitely a welcoming environment, just like Mr. McNerney over at the junior senior high school. We have a saying now, it's we're Hanover, and you say it with pride. And I feel like a few years ago, that wasn't there. And now we're getting our pride back, we're getting our stride back. And that starts from him hiring the correct administration, to the administration having that growth mindset and being welcoming and supportive to our staff. And I think at this point, with our curriculum and the way that we're improving, we have great schools. And I'm proud to be part of it. And I'm proud that my daughter is a Hornet. And at the end of the day, we're Hanover, and that's something to be very proud of.
Robin?
The question is how you know that the school is good, correct? So besides spending time with the school, I would say, our testing scores and whatnot, not so much individually as the students, but as a school are posted. You can always review and see how our scores are coming up. They're much better from last year. for both of our schools actually. So that tells anyone and everyone, hey, we're moving in the right direction, our school is getting better, where do we par compared to other schools in the state and other rural schools. So if you're gonna ask how you know the school is good, you have to spend time and you have to look at the testing materials.
Carrie?
Well, I think it's easy to see if a school is bad, that parents start taking their kids out and you walk in and it's not a friendly, welcoming atmosphere and administration is rude, that sort of thing. And so then it's the exact opposite when it's a good school, that you have that positive vibe, everyone's smiling and welcoming and treating you like you're just as important as they are, because we did have problems in the past. And the growth mindset, all of that positive stuff came in, and I'm very thankful to Dr. Smith because I noticed the change. I mean, it's taken time, but even right from the beginning, he just made some really positive changes right from the start, despite all the road bumps and everything along the way. So I am really proud about how much the school district has improved. And I was blown away when I went to the high school last night because I hadn't been there in a while. So I was really impressed. So, but yeah, that's how you tell the difference, you know, negativity versus positivity, I guess.
Oh.
I'll be answered.
Okay, great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're rocking the same hair.
I like your too when I got
He's much better. Anyway, so, you know, I felt that, the question was lacking some more, because how do you know whether or not a school is bad? Well, the answer really depends upon who are you. And the answers have kind of sort of already been given. There's really two perspectives from which one judges whether or not a school is good or bad. And that is, so if you were completely unaffiliated with the school and you don't know anything about it, you live far away, well then the tool that you use is basically what Robin said. It's your test scores. Like it or not, that is the de facto standard of how you judge a school and a district. And you know, one more on top of that is the school performance framework and the district performance framework that kind of tie those test scores into how schools are graded. And then to reiterate, you know, what everybody else has said basically, is the other perspective is if you are part of it, it's not about the numbers, right? It's about the feeling you get that when you walk into the school. I remember kind of sort of what Charity was saying, about 2 months after Mr. McGurney was the new principal out there, I walked into school and it felt different. There was a vibe, there was an energy in the air that I don't have words to describe it. It felt different and in a good way. And so we as board members, we're put in this position that we have to look at it from both perspectives.
All right, this last card has two questions on it that I think we can combine into one. But this is where you can roll up your sleeves and, I don't know, what sets you apart from the other candidates? And what is your vision for education? I think you can probably fit those both into one. We'll start with Charity.
So what was the second question?
What is your vision for education?
Okay. So it's really tough. What sets me apart from everybody else here? Probably because we probably all come from different backgrounds, and that just makes us all different people. But it's hard for me to say because we're only acquaintances. We don't know each other's strengths and weaknesses. But I'm a very persistent person. I think that sets me apart from other people. I stand up for what's right. And no matter what the consequences are, that's the way I am. So, my vision for education, I would like to, and with technology coming, I think this can happen, is I would like to see children being taught to master something like the math that they're doing, master it before they're pushed on to the next level. Because at some point, and my girls, it catches up to them, like that 20 or 30% that they didn't get is going to catch up to them to a point where they just think they're bad enough and they don't ever want to try it. And I guess that's my biggest concern. Because I go in the stores and I'm the one that wants to make sure that I get the list changed back and that they have more change in their drawer, you know. And I will mess somebody up by giving them an extra 2 quarters or whatever, so we get a 5 back instead of 4 ones and some change, and they, everywhere, it's just unbelievable how our society has become with our math skills. And I think it can be fixed, but it has to, because we all learn at different levels. I mean, you might think I'm really good at math now. I wasn't when I was younger. I struggled. Okay.
Well, finish your sentence.
I was just going to say that I struggled as a child because of how my mindset was. It wasn't until I was at a particular age that I was ready to retain it and understand it and understand the logic of it all.
Rob?
What sets me apart from other board members or other people sitting here? Nothing, actually. I feel everyone here is great people. 3 current board members who know exactly what's expected. They've been there, they've done that. They're more experienced than I am. So there's not much that sets me apart from them. We all may have different ways of doing things and different opinions about different policies, procedures, contracts, whatever it may be. But in that note, I would say I'm just as good as anybody else here. What I perceive for education, I feel that Hanover, like I stated earlier, is moving in the right direction. I would like it to continue to grow. I would like to see more classes added. I would like to see students to come back so that we can have more classes. With more students, we have a bigger budget, we can add more teachers, we can add more electives. And electronics, that's something I had brought up before, actually. A lot of the big schools have computers or laptops that individual students can take home or check out, or all students in the school have, so that they can do a lot of work. A lot of schools have moved over to doing work on the computer rather than paper, and everything's submitted in Google Docs and all this other cool stuff. So I would like to see our school grow in that direction to where we can be there someday. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but I think, like I said earlier, we're all moving in the right direction.
Randy?
Sir, I cannot possibly answer those 2 questions in 2 minutes, but I'll try. So, first of all, I don't know how to quantify or qualify what sets me apart without someone possibly interpreting that I'm being mean to other people. But I will say that I have not been afraid to bring forward substantive, sometimes controversial changes to policies and the way this board does business. And you know what, I've taken some criticism over that, and I don't shy away from that. Doing what needs to be done for the right reason, doing the right thing for the right reason is, and if you take flack for that, well, then you take flack for that. And like I said, I'm not afraid to do that. I've done it several times in my tenure today. What's my future for education? I really kind of sort of talked about it in other answers to previous questions. So I'm going to expand the curriculum, and I want to figure out a way that we can measure the effectiveness of the education that we're delivering. Or if we can't figure out a way to measure it, just make sure that we deliver a really effective education. And like I said, my goal is really to make sure that when a student graduates Hanover, that they are an expert at whatever it is they are going to choose to go into. Yeah, but pretty much if you would grab some snippets from some of the other answers, it's all kind of rolled up into there. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. 18 seconds to spare.
Good job.
Paul?
I say what sets apart about 2.5 feet.
Yeah. Might be 3.
No, for me personally, I would say it's actually an honor to be at this table with everyone that's here tonight. So I would never say that I would be set apart per se. I just know that in my own character and drive, initiative, attention to detail, pride in what you do. I feel those are going to be what's going to carry you to make those right decisions. I feel that as we've talked about at length tonight, doing what's right, no matter what. And I kind of enjoy the controversy when people kick back against it because you are what's doing right. Bring it on, bring on the problems. We'll as a team, address them head on. My vision for the school, one thing that I found was fascinating was part of the STEAM program when we had the visitors that we had in the state. And we walked into the STEAM room and they're giving a class on Excel. I just thought that was really cool. And so my vision is that we're going to continue in that direction, get the kids more apt to the real world through electronics, as Rob said, Google Docs, Excel, Microsoft Word, and so on. But also, I want them to have a perspective to aim high. I'd rather that they aim high and miss than aim low and hit their target. There's so much more out there that they can leave. They leave school with the confidence to try to tackle the world. And that's my vision for the students in Hanover.
What sets me apart? Well, I'm me. I'm unique. I think that each one of us brings different things, different qualities, different perspectives to the work. And like Paul said, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be running with these individuals. I don't know all of them very well. I know some of them better than others. However, I hold myself to a high regard. I have high standards for myself. I hold myself accountable. That's something I teach my daughter. I think that's important in this role. And I think that open communication and having a human factor is definitely something that I can bring to the table. And I'm sure these people as well do. I don't want anybody to think I'm knocking them. I'm not. I'm not that person. I think that we each bring different things, and I'm excited to see how the selection goes. Thank you for the opportunity with these questions tonight. And as far as adding value to the school district and the students, just keep up with the growth mindset, keep up with the welcoming environment, keep up with hiring the right staff, the right administration, and then also preparing our students for real life, not just for college, for vocational as well, for trade schools, for just get in tune with what our students need and prepare them for what direction they're ready to go into. I'd love to see our technology kick off as well, because that is big. I mean, my daughter knows more tech than I do. Sometimes I hand her my laptop and I'm like, here, fix this. So I would like to see a little bit more of that in the classrooms, but definitely just keeping on the same path that we are. Growth mindset, the curriculum going up, our test scores going up, I can definitely see that. And then just keeping our staff and our morale good and high.
Well, just in closing, I want to thank the members of the public who showed up. It's always disappointing when I go to board meetings that more public doesn't show up. But I know there are a variety of reasons why sometimes that's not possible. Civil discourse is sort of a lost art in this country, and it was nice to have a nice civil discussion amongst all of you tonight. I can say that our firm represents 18, 19 different school districts, and I attend a fair number of board meetings, and I'm always amazed that people are willing to do that job. As you know, it's not highly paid. In fact, it's not paid at all.
There's been a proposal to double our pay next year.
Yeah, you spend a lot of hours, and so I'm impressed anytime anybody is willing to run for the board, particularly if they're already somewhat familiar with the responsibilities that come, and I know you all do. So I wish you all good luck and thank you.